Hey, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching. If you followed along with me, I'm laughing because I'm kind of relieved that this is my last video of the year about talking about what I read because I read so much. I read 95 books in 2017, and I'll do a whole recap video hopefully later when I have more time to talk about what it was like to try to read books only by women because that's a different discussion, but I just want to share with you what I read in December. And a lot of them were library books actually, which is great. I always recommend checking out your local library. Usually free, completely free, and so, I already returned those books, so I don't have a couple of them with me. The two I do still have with me are Stuff Every Vegetarian Should Know by Katherine McGuire. It's a super cute little book. My friend gave it to me for Christmas because I've been vegetarian, mostly vegetarian. Vegetarian, but I've eaten a couple bites of meat in the past year and a half since I started. And this is just like a really awesome, cute little book for anyone who's interested. The binding kind of didn't really hold together super great. You can see there it's a little off kilter, but the book is cute and it has a lot of like really helpful kind of charts and tips. It's like as if your friend who's been vegetarian for a long time kind of like gave you all the deets. So it's very informal and I liked it. And another cute little book is Dear Ija Wele. I don't know how to pronounce that, and I probably should, but whoops, sorry. If you know, I don't know, you can let me know. But anyways, it's a feminist manifesto and 15 suggestions. So this is by the author of We Should All Be Feminists, which is another amazing and small, thin, fast read that she wrote. And I would highly recommend that one, especially if you haven't read it by now. And she also has TED Talks you can look up. And anyways, this book is like a letter that she wrote to her friend who had a daughter. So I think her friend's daughter is a baby. But this is just about like raising a daughter to be a feminist. And it's good. I'm kind of like shelving it with my education and parenting books. And so then the books that I don't have anymore to show you are Fun Home and Are You My Mother, which are both by Alison Bechdel. Those were our book club picks for this round, and they were really good. The first one I thought was a little bit intimidating because it's a graphic memoir, like a graphic novel memoir, and she is super smart, Alison Bechdel. You might have heard of the Bechdel test. You can look it up if not. But basically, I thought it was intimidating because she's so smart and so well-read and makes so many connections with books that she's read. And even me, who I would say reads a lot, wasn't familiar with stuff like James Joyce and some other books that she was talking about. But now I feel like I have a little bit more familiarity, and her writing is really beautiful. Like, even though they're graphic novels, the writing is just incredible. And I don't really like graphic novels, to be honest, but Are You My Mother just really like hit me. It felt like personally relevant to my life, and there's a lot about psychology and psychotherapy, and I like that too. I like psychology and brain stuff, and a lot about like family and healing and stuff. So I really did like it, and also she's a lesbian, so she talks a lot about her experience with coming out and her family dynamics and all of that stuff. So recommend that. I definitely still recommend both those books, even though I thought they were like slightly intimidating. Another book that I read that had similar themes was Little and Lion, but it's a YA book, young adult book, and it's about a girl who thinks she might be bisexual, but she's not sure, and there's kind of a love triangle, but it's not a romance. It made me cry at the end, like truly actually had tears, I think, because again, it's just about like a lot of family difficulties and dynamics, like family secret keeping is kind of a theme, and so is mental health, because there's a main character with bipolar disorder, and I really recommend it. I just think it's a really great book, has a lot of diversity, all the characters like have a lot of different dimensions and were well developed and had a lot of diverse representation. Two books that got a lot of attention this year that I didn't love. One was All Grown Up by Jamie Attenberg, and my expectations were probably too high because Book Riot podcasters always recommend it as their like, evergreen for any situation recommendation. And I did like it. I did not like identify personally, but I did empathize with the main character, or like I thought she was really well developed, but I thought the ending was too abrupt. It should have been longer, and I didn't like that the first chapter was in second person, but then the whole rest of the book was in first person. Was it third person? I don't know, but it was jumping around, and like for me that just was pointless. I didn't really understand why that happened, but I'm glad I read it. I just wouldn't say it's like a great book for anyone. It's about a woman who's like, I think in her 30s or 40s, who's single, and just her coming to grips with like not being emotionally available for people in her life. So it's definitely interesting and really good writing and like relatable story, the way that like her character is just like available and open. So I like that. And then another book that I thought was kind of overhyped was Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. And this book had so much promise. Like throughout the first half of the book, I was like, yeah, this book is great. Like the characters are so developed and there's interesting dynamics and I care about the issues or the problems, because sometimes there's books about just like a bunch of characters and I don't really care about their problems. But this I did, and the way it was written kind of like started at the end and then went back and kind of explained how they got to that point. And I thought there was going to be some sort of reveal or, you know, interesting climax, but there kind of wasn't. It just like fell flat. And I think one of the main characters was just painted as like way too one-dimensionally like good compared to everyone else who was like flawed and real. So that like really ruined it for me. And I got bored at some point towards the end. And then yeah, just the end, it was just disappointing in the end. Like it just didn't all like come together in the way that it really could have. And it won like Goodreads Best Book of the Year, which I thought was really surprising. So if you read it, I would love to know your opinion. And I think that's everything that I read in December. But like I said, I'll do a recap for the whole year later when I have more time. But again, thanks if you've been watching my shoddy videos. And I want to know what you were reading and what you read and what your highlights of the year were. So you can comment, email me, text me, find me on social media, Valerie Brett. And again, thanks so much for watching.